Okay, good morning, good morning. If I were to do a mic check, would y'all be able to hear? Hey, hey, good morning, good morning. Hey, Singh, Harrison, good morning. Jason, Nathan, Mean Boys. All right, trying to get this thing good here. We should be good to go. Hey, Terry, how you doing, man? Hopefully you're well. All right, looks like that's the best I'm gonna be able to get it for right now without a screen share. Looks good to go. All right, cool. Mr. Blue here, Mr. Blue, Mr. Blue, coming live. TradePhantoms.com. I'm gonna go over a couple of 1 hour session here, real quick, for some members on YouTube. We have some phantoms in here. Good to see y'all. Hopefully y'all doing well. Good weekend. Let's dive in. Right, I'm gonna start with futures. I'll go over the S&P futures, Nasdaq futures, set up some what's called Globex traps as part of a morning routine. Set up some demand supply levels, institutional demand supply levels based on a specific setup with that. And then go over a couple of pre-morning routine touch points, VIX, bonds, things like that. And then, we'll get prepared for the market open for some tickers. And then if I see fit, if I see a setup, I'll pull the trigger. Cool. That's a good plan for this morning. Yeah. So TradePhantoms.com here, Mr. Blue. Let me see. There's spies here. Y'all should be able to see the screen here. Trading View. Good morning, Montu. Vincent, I see y'all in here. Good morning. Let me see. We got so today we do have 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Eastern here. We do have Jay Powell, Jerome Powell speaking, or testifying, I should say. Okay, so that's noteworthy. Okay, semi-annual policy. He's talking in D.C., Washington, D.C. There is another website too that the Phantoms team and group know very well, the CME Fed Watch tool. The reason why I bring this up is because we're 22 days away from a Fed meeting that's happening in July. Okay, so July 31st is or is the date where the Federal Reserve, could either change rates, keep them the same, etc. There's a lot more to this, but really quickly, just 22 days out, give or take, a couple of weeks from now, they're pricing in that they're not going to raise rates this cycle. Okay, so he's for today, getting. I know y'all want to get to the charts, okay, but just want to make yourself noteworthy here this morning that Federal Chair is speaking today this morning. Tomorrow, I'm sorry. Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. And tomorrow, today, and tomorrow, Wednesday. Okay. And then this week as well, we'll prepare the Phantoms and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The group, we got CPI this week as well, but that's not until Thursday. Okay. So that's pretty much it for the most part for indexes, the S&Ps, Nasdaq, and the stock and options market for the most part this morning. And real quick, as I dive in, just really briefly, for you new streamers here on YouTube, we always start with what's called a top-down multiple time frame approach. Okay, top-down multiple time frames. Okay, top-down high time frames down into low time frames. Starting with the higher time frame being the monthly, the weekly, the daily. Okay, this is a quick little checklist for the team at Phantoms, just to kind of kick off your trade plan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We got a couple things in here too. Some candlesticks, location being very important. Some bullish candlesticks. This is the bearish candlesticks, if you will. Okay, and then the liquidity map, which it's beyond the scope of this 1 hour session here on stream, but we talk a lot in detail regarding this liquidity map here, letting you know how to execute. Okay, how to execute in uptrends, how to execute in downtrends, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, now I'm going to get to the charts here. I'll start off with, as mentioned, with the S&P, Nasdaq. I'll do Dow Jones and Russell 2000. So I know this might be hard to see. I got everything here on the daily time frame. S&P on the left. I got Nasdaq on the upper right. I got Dow Jones on the lower left. I have Russell 2000 on the bottom right. I'll just blow this up so you can see a bit more I'm hoping cleaner here. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Jason. Good to see you. Daily time frame here. Of course, macro picture uptrend. We've been in an uptrend bull market all year. Okay, it's July already, right? We just passed July 4th. Okay, entering Q3, first starting of Q3 of the year, 2024, right? Obviously. Yeah, so we're on an uptrend. Okay, I can't. It's pretty simple to say here: higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low. We had a major basing a couple weeks ago. Okay, then the holiday week, short week, we broke out into new all-time highs. Okay, S&P futures, Nasdaq, S&P Ys, SPX, a lot of stocks, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, Google. Okay, all these stocks are Apple. Okay, at all-time highs. All-time high. So very bull market. I am going to be discussing with the group over the next week or two how to insure your portfolio with insurance being fairly cheap. That's beyond the scope of this course here. All right, but let's dive in. I'm going to go to the small time frames in a moment here and map out some levels that might be actionable today in a moment. But I just wanted to give you a peek that, you know, S&Ps, Nasdaq, etc., the markets, if you will, are on a 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, several day, bullish up move here with a new high here. Okay, so there's going to be some form of correction pending. Okay, this market's still been extremely difficult to short. Okay, so for the time being, okay, we're still going to be looking for pullbacks into qualified demand to get long. Okay, selling short this market has been a nightmare, so just be careful with that. Okay, I can say the same thing for Nasdaq. Now Nasdaq has been even stronger, relatively speaking, to the S&P, Dow Jones, and Russell 2000 because Nasdaq is the tech sector. Okay, so tech has been extremely strong, of course. Right, that's no surprise. All right, Apple, Microsoft, Google, all these major big FANG stocks at all-time highs. So that's naturally going to drift the Nasdaq, relatively speaking, more higher and stronger than say the S&P, Dow, and Russ. Okay, so same thing. Okay, I'm not going to beat the dead horse here today. Same thing. We have levels of demand below current price. We get the rising 20 PA moving average here, just as a filter. Okay, we talk a lot about demand and supply, institutional demand and supply as the foundation of how to trade these markets. Okay, we want to trade where the big banks, institutions, etc., are going to be and have their levels and where they're looking to take interest in the market, and we're just going to ride those coattails. Okay, so I'll just fast forward here. Dow Jones and Russell 2000 have been not participating. Participating in what? Well, participating in all-time highs, right? So we get the Russell down here at the bottom, and I'm not even going to speak about it because it's just range and not breaking out. Small caps, okay? It's been a nightmare trading small caps recently, okay? And then Dow Jones, okay? I know some people trade the US 30, okay? The CFD on that. Okay, but that's been a lagger as well, considering the S&P and NASDAQ, which we just covered, okay? So I'm just going to switch over to the darker screen because I believe you can see that even better on the stream if I'm not mistaken, okay? And so here is Thinkorswim, okay? I trade predominantly stock and options on Thinkorswim, all right? But I'm going to cover futures here because, we can go to a futures chart on this. I got the monthly here on the left. I got the weekly here in the middle. I got the daily here on the right, okay? So again, just that top-down approach, systematic process. Okay, monthly, weekly, daily. Always checking that monthly, weekly, daily. Even if I'm day trading for short-term, income, being in and out, maybe even scalping for a couple of minutes. Okay, I still want to know where I am. I still want to know where I am on the bigger, higher time frames. Okay, so I'm going to drill down because we just kind of covered that. No surprise, S&P futures, right? Uptrend, uptrend, uptrend on the monthly, the weekly, and the daily. Okay, this is why it's been a nightmare to short this market, right? People are still just getting squeezed out, thinking that this market can't go higher, this market can't go higher. And then we're just last night, okay, we just made all-time highs in the futures again. Okay, now I'm going to drop down to the smaller time frames here. So I have the, just to give you the lay of the land, if you will, if I may, 60-minute time frame here, upper left. I have a 30-minute time frame here, bottom left, followed by a 5-minute time frame here in the middle, and last but not least, we have the 2-minute time frame here on the right. Okay, so again, that multiple time frame analysis approach, starting from the top. If I just open up this 60-minute time frame here, 1 hour time frame of the S&P futures. Okay, 1 hour time frame of the S&P futures. One of the first things that we can map out for a setup specifically for futures, okay, you can trade options as well on this via SPY, SPX, or QQQs as well regarding this. I'll even give you a little treat here, not too much because I want to respect the members' commitment here in Phantoms, but there's something called the Globex trap. Okay, there's something called the Globex trap. Of course, we have classes and things like that that discuss this more in detail with the time and space for that, which is not the case right now. Okay, but there's a little note there, of course, with what that setup looks like. So if you could potentially read that note, or if you ever took a class and you gone through that process there, one of the first things that we want to do is map out. One of the first things we want to do is map out what's called the Globex high. Okay, Globex high. So 60-minute time frame of the S&P futures here. Okay, I'm going to represent this. I'm going to represent this Globex high by that blue line here that I just put in. So 5640 is what's called the Globex high. In other words, it's an overnight high, right? Futures trade overnight, so it's a really good asset if you have the 9 to 5 and you can't day trade during the day. Okay, futures trade overnight. Okay, similar to forex. Okay, so you can kind of maneuver your lifestyle or trade around your lifestyle with an overnight market. Okay. That being said, we have a Globex low right here as well. So this gray space in Thinkorswim lets us know that it's the kind of overnight session. Okay, so we map out the overnight low, overnight high. Okay, and you can see futures are up, slightly, nothing too crazy, 0.17%, nothing too crazy. Now the setup is going to be, if I look below Globex low, what we want to do is trap people who are trying to sell short into this market, okay, bull market, trapping people who are trying to sell short into a high quality level of institutional demand, okay? So we've been kind of doing pretty well with these, okay? When they hit beautifully, all right? Right, so I'm not going to map out supply because there's nothing to the left, all-time highs. So all I'm going to do here, we have a couple of levels here that still have not hit 55.64. That's still going to be a decent one right here if you want to mark that off for this morning. But I'm going to give you another adjustment here in a moment. Okay, so this one's still good here, 5564. If I look down and left, if we did break the Globex low, and a couple of daily lows here as well, I should say, this level right here, 5564, is a nice rally, a basing, and a rally here. So an I impulse, basing I. You learn more about that in class. Okay, now I did put an asterisk there, low quality, because there's a checklist that is beyond the scope of this 1 hour session here. Okay, but what we want to do is map out and qualify whether or not it's a institutional level of demand or is it just a level that's not that powerful. Okay, so we want to only look for the best and the most prime, if we kind of like what we call it here, so we can have high probability levels to hit and lean against. Okay, so that one's still a fit right there, 5564. I am still, even if they're, because of the low score on this, if beyond the scope of here. Okay, but I am expecting, if and when it does get down here, there could be a potential liquidity sweep here at 5555. Okay, 55.55 here. All right, and I have that note there. And I think I even left that on from a week or two ago. I think I even mentioned this on YouTube not too long ago as well. Okay, then we have a nice one right here, 55.40 down here. But this is probably not going to be happening here today. Okay, because that's fairly far off. Okay, but bringing it up here a bit more, current price down and left. Okay, we have yesterday's daily low here. All right, this is a retest to this level right here. So the freshest level is really not going to be, and this is not even the best formation. Okay, but we have a nice even number here, and it's a decent little IBI right here. A rally, it's a basing here, and a rally. It's not the greatest. Okay, but with this massive bull market, okay, today, this morning, this might be something that could be of interest for a Globex trap, and that number comes in at, this is futures, by the way, S&P futures. All right, I'll just copy and paste this line here, maybe save a couple of seconds here. All right, really, there's a nice even number here, 5600. Okay, so 5600 I would mark off as potentially a Globex trap bullish trade here this morning in the event that we do break this Globex low right here. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit better for you. There you go. Okay, so a Globex low. Okay, we break here. This is yesterday's low right here. All right, yesterday's low. Okay, even if we broke yesterday's low, there is a little baby demand zone. It's not the greatest, but this would be extremely aggressive. But there could be a slight little Globex trap right here as well. If I were to just pin this number here, right here, 56, call it 10. All right, so 56.10 in S&P futures. This is something that might be, this is super aggressive. Okay, it's not the highest quality level of demand. All right, but with this massive bull market, not much of a catalyst this morning, nothing crazy major news this morning, just, kind of Fed Chair Powell speaking at 10 a.m. Okay, just to Washington, D.C. He's not making any moves. That's later this month, as mentioned. Okay, so you might want to pin this 56.10. All right, I would be careful with this one. There's something called positive COG that we talk a lot more about inside of the the classes, advanced classes, and things like that. All right. So some of my phantoms in here that already know kind of what I'm talking about here. You might want to wait for a positive COG at this 5610 handle here on S&P futures. Okay, the 5600 and even a little bit lower. This is a wide zone here. Okay, so make sure you're drilling down on the smaller time frames to kind of refine that area. Okay, so you might even want to pin the 5595 right in here as well. Okay, so there's a couple of levels here that are fairly decent. Okay, fairly decent. All right, fairly decent here. All right, so we got 5610, we got 5600, and then we get 5595. Okay, of course, this one down here is going to be a lot better. All right, the 5600 and a bit more lower down here. All right, this is going to be aggressive. Okay, AGGRR, ARG, okay, with an asterisk here. Okay, and then we have, you might want to wait for a positive COG, what's called changing of the guard. All right. Mr. Lucy's so nice on YouTube. Yeah, no cuss words. No cuss words. All right, cool. Let me take a sip of water here. If you want to, if you're new, as you can see, we have some phantoms in here. But just while I take a sip of water here, if you want to learn a little bit more about that, you go to TradePhantoms.com. Okay. Of course, we have a a nice little half-day class for you. I think they do it in the evening. You hit that register button there. All right, this Thursday, usually on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Put your name, your email. Okay, here's a couple of things that are going to be covered there. Just as I take a sip of water, we can get back to the charts. Okay, but if you're looking to, join the team or see what it's like, all right, that's where to start there. TradePhantoms.com. All right, click that register button there. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Thursday. You'll get a chance to see what it's like, to see if it's a fit or not. That's okay too. All right. Okay, cool. Moving on. I'm going to do NASDAQ futures. Now, I'm going to do this one a bit quicker. Here's why. It's going to be very similar, extremely similar to the S&P futures, okay? In that I'm not going to map out supply because we don't have it. It's at all-time highs. All right. Map out the Globex high, process and system, process and system, consistency, right? Edge. All right, there's the Globex high. Here's the Globex low. All right, and the setup is I'm looking for qualified levels of demand below the Globex low. So anything below this, I have demand here. Is it highly qualified? No, a lot of time spent here. Okay, multiple touches. Okay, so what I'm looking for, what I'm looking for is a high quality level of demand below current price. Okay, now more on that with time, with more due time. But if I go to even the 30-minute time frame here, let me see if I get it down here. This one's going to be harder to see. This one's going to be a little bit more harder or difficult to see. But right in here, there's going to be what's called an IBI right in here. It's going to be harder to see on this one. But I went on the smaller time frames here. But there's going to be a lot of liquidity right here. So this line right here, this could be some liquidity where there's going to be a lot of built-up stops right here. Okay, so if we come down, they can stop people out. Okay, any longs here, they can stop. Okay, sweep this as if the market's going to even come lower, and then come into this 2,500 handle right here on Nasdaq futures for a potential Globex bull trap. Okay, let me just steal a line here from this here, so save some clicks. All right, this one I would need a little bit more time to explain. I'm looking at the clock. We got 25 minutes. I do want to go over to some other tickers as well. So I'm just trying to keep a healthy balance here of smooth flow plus a little bit of description with bringing as much value for your time here. So I'd pin 20,500. This could be a potential nice Globex trap long here today if it comes down. Okay, or even tomorrow. All right, this one, again, like I said, if I had a little more time, I'd explain this. I'd go down to the smaller time frame and show you the IBI in here. Okay, but the main thing right here is I'm looking for a liquidity sweep, potentially right here. So below Globex low, below yesterday's low, a lot of time spent here. There's probably a lot of liquidity built up right here. Okay, so and it's breakout traders. Okay, if it's coming down, red bar, breakout trades coming in right into a level, nice even number here of demand. Okay, so this one's decent right here. All right, and I'll just put a note right here just really quick because we got to move on a bit here. This could be a nice little liquidity sweep. Again, if I had more time, I would explain this. We talk a lot about this inside the live trade rooms. Okay, where I trade live. Okay, with the group. Okay, you see everything: entries, stops, targets, everything that I do. No hiding. Okay. All right, so that's a liquidity sweep. Okay, and you know, you might even have a nice little. This might not even hit today. If this does pop down here, you might even be able to take a positive CRG for some of my phantoms in here that I already know kind of what I'm talking about here. Some trained up phantoms in here. Okay, so you could even look for the liquidity sweep, and then down here we can let's put a note here. You can wait for see if we can get a positive CRG after liquid sweep. All right, looking at the time, I want to move on. Good morning. Good morning. All right, 20,555, 20,555. All right, I'll do oil and gold extremely quick. Oil, for the record, I'm long swing oil. Okay, we were talking about this monthly, weekly, daily. I know the lines are kind of messy here. All right, weekly time frame, we've been mapping out levels really good. Okay, all right, just pretty simple supply demand equation, etc. All right, oil's been coming up, basing, breakout, came up to the weekly. Okay, this is only one of the areas where I was like, okay, if we are going to go short, wait for it to come up into a weekly supply. All right, this was on YouTube, even for free, etc. Okay, then we have this demand zone coming back down, demand zone below current price. Okay, with the current momentum here. Okay, current momentum with the positive COG close last month. Okay, so we are absorbing some of the supply up here. We did pull back. That's the monthly, weekly, daily. All right, if I go to the 60-minute time frame, I'm going to just be short and sweet with this one. Okay, again, Globex chaps, I want to be, kind of closer up here on the weekly supply. You might want to just write this down, pin this down, 81.10 and 80.85, 81.10 in oil, 80.85. Okay, these are going to be really good levels here. They're not the greatest on the small time frame. Okay, because it's been tested a couple times, but it's a really good location on the daily time frame. Okay, I'm on a 60-minute time frame of oil futures right now at the moment. Okay, but you might want to write these two numbers down as mentioned: 81.10, 80.85. 80.85 is a decent fresh prime level. It's not the greatest. Okay, but oil has been kind of, it's not a fast-moving uptrend like the S&Ps and Nasdaq. It's kind of a slow and grindy move. Okay, so naturally levels can come it's a little more sloppy, for lack of a better term right now. This could come a bit more lower, coming down into the daily time frame here in blue. Okay, blue. So that 80.85 is a nice level right there. Okay, I still have these levels pinned down here. The 79.75, I kind of highlighted that in a brighter green. In the event that we do have a swipe down in here as well, 79.75 might be good for a swing trade entry as well, because we're pulling back down into daily demand closer down in here. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow in the live trade room when I have multiple hours. Okay, but that being said, 81.10, 80.85, fairly decent even for a day trade today if it hits, and or there might be even some swing trade capability scenario opportunity here as well. Okay, gold futures. Okay, monthly, weekly, daily, macro bull uptrend, but gold has been ranging for a long time now. Okay, so it's been playing the range game here. Our levels mapped out on the extreme weekly highs, monthly highs, daily lows, monthly lows, weekly lows have been providing the playing field, if you will, right? Basketball court end here, basketball court here, football touchdown area here, football touchdown area here, soccer net here, soccer net here. Okay, so be careful diddling in the middle with oil. I'm sorry, oil, gold. Okay, so the range on the higher time frames is not that stellar, right? So this is why you want to be careful trading in the middle of range. Okay, so you might want to wait for the extreme higher range and the extreme lower range in said gold. We do have a couple levels here. All right, these are mid levels, so be careful here. 2320 handle and lower is going to be representative of lower range. Okay, down in here. All right, upper range is 2400, 24 call it 20, give or take up here. All right, these are the monthly, weeklies, highs. Okay, so this is the range here. This is the range here. I'm on a 60-minute time frame now on gold. All right, so just be careful trading with these middle ranges here. Okay, the middle zone, the zones, the demand zones that are in the middle. Okay. All right. Yeah, on to the 2400 hit perfectly, right? It hit perfectly 2400. We have mapped that out. Good to see you, Montu, right? Good morning to you. Yeah, so these levels, institutional level demand supply, along with condition. Okay, so I know the lines are a little messy here, right? But monthly, okay, that checklist, okay, to move on here, the checklist, monthly, weekly, daily. Okay, so when you're, especially in a range condition, you want to make sure that you're on the higher time frames and understanding that field of play of range. Now, eventually, yes, this range is going to break out at some point up or down. Okay, but looks like it's not happening today as we're dead smack right back down in the middle of the range. Okay, if you wanted to try to get some action on gold here today, I at least want it to be at least lower down in the lower range of said condition. Okay, so these levels down here might be a bit more better, okay, to potentially to wait for. Okay, so 2340, 2330, 2320. So we have a couple of levels in here, levels on levels, levels on levels. If you ever heard Mr. Black, on TikTok, that's one of the things he loves to say, right? And it's a good thing because you have levels on levels, right? But the condition is extremely important here, being that the monthly, the weekly, the daily is range bound and has been for quite some time. Okay, Globex high, Globex low, represented here. All right, I'd be extremely careful with this level right here. It already got tested here. Okay, so again, this is dead smack in the middle of the range, so you might want to wait for a little bit lower here, higher up here. Okay, right now in the middle of Globex, middle of range, so be careful with gold at the moment. All right, and yeah, as Montu is saying, we can also trade GLD on this as well, which I love doing. Okay, GLD is the ETF. That was futures. GLD is the ETF where you could trade shares similar to a stock, exchange traded fund, all right, or options. I love to trade options on GLD. Okay, cool. So while I just take a sip of water here, all right, I know I'm going fast and furious, and I even go quicker than this. I'm kind of slowing it down here for the live stream on YouTube. If you want to learn a little bit more about that, as I take a sip of coffee here to the left, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this Thursday, July 11th. Okay, register. You can get a link to just see what this looks like from Phantom standpoint. A couple of things that you'll learn here. All right, if you see fit or not, that's cool. All right, and then I'm gonna go straight into the VIX and some tickers and prepare some gaps, or go over some gaps and prepare some decent tickers that might be tradable right off the open. All right, cool. Moving on. So we got SPY here. I got SPY just on a daily time frame. Yesterday was a doji close. Okay, slight gap up. Futures are up very slightly here. All right, I'm going to check the VIX volatility index. Implied volatility of the SPX options 30 days out. All right, plus more, fair greed gauge. Here's what you need to understand. If the VIX is up, mark it down. If the VIX is down, mark it up. Okay, so inverse correlation. Okay, VIX is extremely low right now, bull market, right? S&P is up, what, sub 17, 18% so far for half of the year already. Okay, VIX extremely low. All right, if the VIX spikes, that's a little bit more fair. Options are being priced higher. Okay, that's not happening so far as of late. All right, also, even though we map it out on the higher time frames, all right, there's something called internals, which I go into more deeper with the group and team at Phantoms, the traders at Phantoms. Okay, so we want to map out the overnight high in VIX, overnight low in VIX. Even if you're just a currency or a Forex trader, you still need to understand how all these markets intertwine. Okay, stocks, futures, Forex, options, bonds, commodities, even crypto these days, right? All these markets are interconnected. Okay, so the more asset classes you know, the better. At Phantoms, right? So you can, we even have some Phantom members in here. All right, we teach all asset classes. Okay, so we're trying to build diverse traders. Okay, all right, multiple asset classes. All right, different assets that we can trade. Right. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make here is if the VIX, I mapped out the high, mapped out the low, great, this gray space. All right, if VIX continues to fade lower, okay, market could be bullish, okay, assuming that we're above VWAP. If we fade higher on VIX. Markets could be going into just, I'm not saying crash, okay, but there has to be some kind of down day at some point, at least at a minimum, okay, over the next several days, give or take, okay. So the markets just don't go straight up, okay. You can have a potential down day, okay. All right, don't just think that's going to happen today, okay. Don't trade your thoughts, don't trade your feelings, okay. This could go up for the next 3 days and then come have a down day, okay. So never think, never build a bias, okay. Trade the tape, trade the price action, okay. So VIX is kind of calm. I mapped out the high, I mapped out the low. All right, we already covered gold a little bit there. All right, I even mentioned that even on the other prior streams, it's kind of getting pinched here. All right, bonds. If I had a little bit more time, I'd go a little bit more over into bonds and explain a bit here. All right, but bond price, bond prices are up just slightly over the past couple of days. No big deal. But the effect, bond price up, seesaw effect here means yields are down. Okay, yields are down. Okay, means market up. Okay, so bond price up, yield down. Okay, yield down is market up. All right, and vice versa. All right, there's more on that if I had more time. All right, but bonds are just saying that the market, markets are calm right now. Apple, all-time highs yesterday. We've been doing good in Apple. We had a couple of day trades in, even held a swing trade last week. Did very well. Some of my phantoms in here I already know right here. Positive CRG, above weekly VWAP. All right. So yeah, we did pretty well. We did well on Apple over the past several days. Okay, we have another gap up here today. Okay, we have a hammer bar close. All right, gap up, slight gap up. I just want to be a little cautious on this too because as mentioned, at some point this market's going to have to correct at some point. Okay, so a slight gap up right now in Apple. A little bit of a novice gap. All right, all-time highs. So there's nothing to lean against in terms of supply. Okay, so it's always difficult to short a market at all-time highs because there's no supply to the left. Okay, so it's just in the abyss, if you will, right? So just be careful with that. All right, just be careful with that. Just because we have it's been exploding up and we have a gap up does not mean it's going to continue. All right, a little bit of a novice gap there. Amazon has all-time highs. Right, that's going to be the theme for the most part for a lot of these big FANG stocks. And by the way, as I just make a quick note here, of course, there's a lot of stocks out there, right? But I usually just cover, at least for the beginning here, especially on a free stream on YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Google, Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, AMD, Netflix, QCOM. Okay, these are the big stocks. All right, there's a couple more like JP Morgan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I know that the options on these tickers on these stocks are liquid and you can trade them, right? So I try to make sure that we trade liquid products if we're going to be dealing with options, right? So I know there's a lot of other stocks out there, but sometimes when I go to the options chain, right, the options are not liquid. There's a big, wide bid-ask spread, okay? And, that's not ideal. That's not ideal. All right, anyways, I'm moving on. I don't want to spend too much time on that. I'm going to get as prepared as possible so you can see what it looks like to maybe take entry if I see some. All right, slight gap up on Amazon. It's not, we did touch all-time highs yesterday. All right, we pulled back just a little bit here. Yeah, I mean, Amazon, if intraday tape is good, this could be a bullish potential setup as well. A little slight gap up here this morning. Google, inside day yesterday. Okay, we caught this move on Friday on Google in the group in the live trade room. It was a nice trading day. All right, there was so many setups. We missed some just because it was so many. All right. Anyways, we'll see how today pans out. All right. So we caught this on Friday, but yesterday. This is a daily time frame of Google. All right. Yesterday being Monday, first trading day of the week. It took a little bit of a break inside day. So this bar is inside of the prior day. All right. So we have a slight gap up. So this is what's called the mother bar. Okay. So some of my phantoms know what this is like and how to treat this. Okay. So this is the mother bar. So even if we did break yesterday's high, okay, we would have to break the mother bar here. All right. Slight gap up. All right. But inside gap. Tesla, we also did catch Tesla as well. Probably could have did. I I was traveling, but we probably could have did a little bit better on this. But we did very, very well on this. We caught this pump up. Tesla's momentum is still strong right now. It's squeezing. We talked about a squeeze on here. I do have a target here of Tesla about 165, 170. So if Tesla intraday tape looks good. Yesterday I did catch a little Tesla long day trade yesterday. All right, we'll see if that can continue here today. All right, we actually had a swing trade as well for this squeeze. All right, but let's see, we have a slight gap down. So this is the only one that is slightly gapping down versus the slight gap up. But Tesla has been relatively stronger. It's been well. I gotta be careful saying that. It's actually been relatively weaker overall because it's nowhere near all-time highs such as the other FANG stocks. Okay, but over the past week or two, okay, Tesla exploded up. But that's just because it's been sleeping and ranging for so long. Okay, so we finally got a nice breakout and a pump after squeezing for so long. Okay, all right. Now we have to be a little careful on this on the bullish side, just because we are, it's kind of I wouldn't really want to say it's that parabolic. Okay, but just be careful because there's going to be some kind of correction here at some point. Okay, but we do have some wiggle room and some space and some profit margin up here. I'm expecting maybe 270 Tesla for a liquidity sweep up here. All right, so I'll make a quick note of that just for right now. But when the market opens, we can see if this has a intraday setup, day trade. All right, but this 170 handle, let me put one price on that. This 170 handle could be a nice area for a liquidity sweep. All right, we're trading about pre-market quote 251, give or take. Okay, rounding down. All right, so there could be some space here if the momentum wants to continue. All right. All right, Meta. We caught Meta too. We caught Meta last week. It was good. Day in swing. Exploded. Okay, yesterday took a little bit of a pause. Yep. NVIDIA is on my list. That's going to be 2 tickers down. Yes, sir. I got you covered. Yeah, Donovan, 270. Good to see you, brother. I want to see if we can get parabolic climactic up there. Trap some late buyers. Okay. All right, because if you're trying to get long Tesla up here now, it's a little bit late. There's still some room to go. All right. To use maybe a football analogy, maybe we're in like Q3, quarter 3, so we still have the fourth quarter, right? To give you a quick little analogy to move on. All right, and we'll talk about that. Donovan is a phantom, so pretty sure I'll see him tomorrow morning as well, God willing, right? So Meta, we caught this, nice, beautiful, okay, great. Yesterday was a little calm day here, slight gap up. All right, Meta made all-time highs. I told the folks at Phantoms, it's been jealous, okay? And then jealous of what? All these other stocks making all-time highs, and Meta did not. So Meta was jealous, so it had to do that on Friday. All right, we caught that with the team. All right, yes, intraday tape, if it sets up pretty nicely, VIX down, market holding bids, this could be bullish. All right, these are going to be extremely hard to short. Microsoft, same thing. All right, we caught Microsoft too, yay, whatever. Last week, great, okay, whatever, great. Yesterday, inside day, a little bit of a calm little digestion day after a big move up, okay? So slight gap up. So Microsoft is a little bit better in terms of the gap, say something versus something like Meta. All right, NVIDIA, good. We talked a little bit about this, all right, and Phantoms. All right, actually Friday, NVIDIA on a day trade was the only one that was a loser, all right? At Phantoms, we don't hide losers, okay? We're not like that. We're real live traders, okay? So if I lose, you see it. If I win, you see it. And we don't shy away from that, okay? We learn from that, okay? You could be the best trader in the world, but you're still gonna have losers, okay? So you need to learn how to lose, and when you lose small. When you're right, you ride winners. Cut losers, ride winners. Anyways, we had this positive COG. That was Friday's bar, okay? Inside bar, so we did not break out on said NVIDIA, all right? But we talked about this in with the team. It's positive COG, nice close, okay? Above all these fade VWAPs and things like that, okay? This is earnings VWAP, all right? There's a lot of things that, again, beyond the scope of this free 1 hour session here. The point that I'm trying to make is this, all right? Yesterday we had a nice little breakout day, okay, but it didn't close out there, but now we're having a slight gap up again here today. So if this positive COG follows through, okay, NVIDIA might have some legs here to go, right? Ideally, I would like to see it break above yesterday's high and actually have a close above here. So we just do it. So it's going to be bullish. It's going to be bullish. Okay, it's going to be bullish. However, all right, I would want to just be a little careful, just what I did yesterday. All right, be careful, don't get trapped up here. So there could be a little bit of a trap right here. So it could trap traders here. All right. So, if we get some nice positive COGs above VWAP, holding VWAP for the day, this is going to be a nice a nice ticker here this morning, or today potentially, to work off of. Okay. If you wanted to swing trade this, you could too. I would lean against. I'll talk more about this tomorrow when I have more time. Okay. You can lean against this positive COG bar here. Okay. So for swing trade, you might even if we do pull back, okay, in here because we have no fall through this morning because the pre-market quote is 130. So we have a yesterday's close here, gap up here. Okay. This is an area where if you're using the swing trade, you might want to give it some space, okay, just in case it kind of play some games here before potential lift off, if this is going to follow through, okay. All right, so I'll just put a note there for swing trade. If you're day trading this, your stop loss is not going to be way down here, right? I'm hoping that goes without being said. Okay, so about I'd say 120.95 below that even number there. This could be a stop loss area for swings. And a swing trade is going to be, you could hold for, a couple days, couple weeks, okay? Just as a general kind of overlaying rule there. All right, day trade in and out for the day. Swing trade, couple days, couple weeks. It could be even a couple of months, position trading as well. All right, so just going to watch out for the trap up here. All right, there's really no supply up left, okay? Remember, this is all-time highs in the videos. So, I got some put premium that we sold at 100. Okay, so those have been working out very well. Okay, so selling puts willing to own lower. All right, day trading here, and then we can even some swing trade. Okay, so at Phantoms, we talk a lot about multiple styles of trade, not just day trader, not just a swing trader, not just a long-term investor. All right, you might learn one to then learn the other. Okay, but multiple asset classes, multiple styles of trade. I day trade. I do everything. I do stocks, futures, forex, options. Okay, I swing trade them. I day trade them. All right, I long-term invest everything. So multiple styles. So it's a business, right? Trading is a business, right? So you run your business. So if you had a quote unquote not so great day trading day because you weren't seeing things right, or you made a couple of mistakes here and there, so you had a bad day trading day, but your swing trades are working very well. Okay, maybe your swing trade setups are not, you're waiting for a lot of them. It's not really hot right now. All right, maybe your day trading is going fairly good too as well. But then you got your long-term investment IRA account working out very well for you too. All right, so multiple styles to keep that edge off. All right, and to keep you calm, cool, collected, and operate this business as it needs to be. Very disciplined, very patient. All right, very rule-based. Okay, no emotion, no thoughts, no feeling. Okay, all right, professional, trade, risk management oriented. Welcome to my TED Talk. Well, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. AMD, anybody catch AMD yesterday? On Friday, we caught AMD. I traded it terribly. I actually made a couple of mistakes personally myself, even being a lead trader for Phantoms. Okay, and when I make a mistake, I say it, and we learn from it, etc. Nobody's perfect. Okay, we talk a lot about that, right? So anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is actually AMD fairly decent because we actually had a nice, I like how we have a breakaway close on the weeklies out here today. AMD's been rangy, wick here, wick here, wick here, wick here, wick here. Okay, monthly, weekly, daily still looks good. We talk a lot about that, of course, at Phantoms. All right, with more time. All right, this does have some room up here. I have a weekly high up here, 187.50, give or take, call it. All right, so there is some space up here potentially for this thing to go. I do like how it's breaking out. We had a breakaway gap here on the weeklies, which on the weekly time frame signifies that potentially have some strength on it. Okay, finally breaking away this little weekly supply level right here. Okay, so AMD is a hot one potentially for the week, but it's been tricky because it likes to trap over here for the past couple of months. Okay, so again, I would tag this level right here daily. There's a daily tag right here, a little bit of a supply level right here. Call it 182.90. So if I just make that blue. So, daily supply tag here. All right, so you might want to make a note of that. So any bull and anything, if we're getting long, because the intraday tape is letting us do that, then I would be at least taking some profit up here, and then especially on the weekly time frame here. Okay, now we might have a correction here. Okay, we broke out. It might want to retest. It was previous supply over here is now could be what used as a demand zone. Y'all with me on that? Okay. All right, so just because this thing looks like it wants to, rip to the upside here, okay, we can always pull back into this daily demand zone. right here. Okay, but that's definitely on the list. All right, just while I'm here on the internals, let's check internals really quickly. So slight gap up in the market as expected here. Hold on, give me a second. Advanced declines, negative 618, nothing too extreme there. The first print, a little bit negative on the volume. All right, not too bad. All right, let's see if we can get a setup here. All right, some traders might even wait for the first 10, 15 minutes for the opening day's range. All right, I at least want to see a 2-minute bar print be put in. All right, we got Amazon. Keep an eye on Amazon here. Right, I want to see this. I want to see this bar get filled up here. All right, rising 20, rising 50 here on the intermediate. All right, Amazon inside day. All right, I want to see if that closes pretty decent there. NVIDIA. All right, NVIDIA is giving us a nice little wide range bar off open here. All right, I do like how NVIDIA is holding up. NVIDIA also on the list. Google. Meta as well. All right, Meta's giving it to us right there. NVIDIA as well. Google, want to be a little careful. There's a little wick up there. All right, Meta, NVIDIA right here. All right, so I'm going to pull trigger on NVIDIA. Long call. Day trade. July 12th expiration here. Let's go to at the monies. All right, you can pick up the 132, or you can maybe pick up the 133. One of these are fairly decent here. I'll pick up the 132 here. So I'll pick up the 132 strike call. All right, for a day trade here, they're going for about $2.40 down here. All right, so NVIDIA would be the first one on the list here. Let's see. They're going for about 240-ish. All right. And I am officially long call once you hear this ding here. All right, I got filled at 244. Let's put a line there to represent that really quickly right there. All right, long call NVIDIA. AMD as well, wide range bar. All right, AMD is worth a shot here too. As mentioned with the weeklies. I was also eyeing Meta. Let me see. If you pick up the, you can pick up the, let me see, make sure it's still good here. Meta looks good too. Let's see. If you pick up the 182 half, they're going for about $3, give or take. The 182 half strike. AMD, not too bad. Let's see if we can get some fall through here. 182 half on AMD ticker here. They're going for about 290-ish. $3. All right, I just got filled at 294. I'll put a line right there to represent that. All right, long call. Tesla's on the list, but it's not giving us the wide range bar off open that I like to see, but it's decent there. It's decent there. Google giving us a positive COG on the 2. So Google looks good too, Google. This was Friday's madness on Google. Oh my God, we destroyed Google in a good way on Friday. This is fairly cheap here. I mean, if you want to pick up the 195, or if you want to get a little more delta, you can pick up the 192 half. I'll be a little safer here on YouTube stream. I'll pick up the 195 here. Google long call. All right, it's a little stretched, but from Friday, but a little risk here. 195 call on Google. All right, under a buck, or just there about a buck. Probably gonna get filled for a buck, and I did on that. All right, these are all kind of old lines there from Friday's madness. All right, long call Google, positive COG, represented by that blue line there. All right, Tesla's trying there. Got to be a little careful on the AMD trap. Let me just check internals. Fed Powell, J Powell speaking at 10 a.m. Just want to note that. All right, VIX is breaking a little, nothing too crazy here, but it's below its Globex low, so that's could be a bit more on the bullish side. Just using VIX as a guide, the Northern Star guide. Spies have a small little positive COG here. We could still fill this gap a little bit here, so you want to be a little bit patient. All right, advanced declines are negative 700. Typically for bulls, you'd want it to be at least above the 0 mark, so we have to be careful with the long exposure here this morning. All right, but just be patient. All right, Tesla's giving it to us here, a setup here. So, so you just got to execute appropriately here. So Tesla long call here. All right, Tesla long call here. Let's see if we can get some continuation. The 5-minute got a nice little positive COG here. Like how we're coming off the rising 20, rising 50 buy zone as well. A little high up here, so I'm going to treat this as a day trade strictly, okay? We're a little higher. We are in weekly supply, so I want to be a little cautious on this, okay? So see if I can get my risk weekly time frame here in the middle. So see if I get our risk down a little bit here. Let me see, especially with the already longs here. So Tesla could be quite expensive here, 255. So if we went a little bit more out of the money, let me see. A bit more out of the money on these. You could pick up maybe the 257 half, or if you wanted to get a little lower delta just to keep your exposure down a little bit, just 260. All right, I'll do a little bit lower risk here, so I'll pick up the 260 for about 435, give or take. We'll see. All right, might even just want to risk about a 0.5% as opposed to 1% on this, just because we are at that weekly supply. So I want to be a little cautious on that. Fair enough. All right. So I'll do half size, half risk on this. In all fairness. All right, so I just got filled at 435 on the 260 strike. Okay. A little bit lower risk, just because half size, just because all things that I had mentioned. I want to be careful with the bullish exposure. Long call, half size, because of monthly supply. Spies is still pinned above its VWAP, but it's very early. Opening day range is still trying to be put in here. AMD. Mentioned about to be careful with the trap here. Be a little careful with the trap there on AMD. Whoa. Let me see. Amazon was trying to do something here. Amazon does have this. It's not the greatest wide range bar off the open, but it's holding its upper third range here above VWAP. All right, but looking at the time, I want to make sure that I'm not going to be able here to manage all this stuff with you folks in here. So I want to be, careful with that. Because I'm not going to be here managing this with you. All right, but I'm usually in the room with the folks managing this. So as mentioned on AMD, we have to be a little careful here. This trap. All right, but let me see my level of demand. Yeah, so this is let me see. So stop loss on this. I'm going to give it a little space here. Let me see below this, but I don't want to be right below this area right here. So stop loss on AMD. If we can if it gets down to call it 170, 176.05, I'm just gonna have to cut this. All right, so I want to give it at least some space here on this. All right. All right, with the team tomorrow, I will talk a bit about if we do get a correction of potentially for a swing. All right, so you gotta be patient on this. Ideally, I'd want it to reclaim and conquer VWAP back here. All right, we'll see. All right, that's what happened in NVIDIA yesterday. So the semiconductors are a bit challenging right now. All right, AMD, trying to work out there. All right, let's TP some Tesla here. All right, we can TP some Tesla. That's the one I went half size on, but it's all good. Nothing has violated our thesis yet. So TP some Tesla, that means take profit. All right, so I bought these at 435. They're trading about 525 right now. All right, so let's TP, take profit. Just sold some off at 520. All right, still in on the 260. Strike put, call, strike call. And make sure you're TPing because that's weekly supply up here. All right, so I got in long call at that blue line right there on the pullback and just TP'd some right here. All right, still in. All right, NVIDIA looks like it's trying to, just made a new high here, trying to go there. Trying to grind higher. You could TP. I'll TP just a little bit of some here just for live stream, but I'm going to try to work on this long, work it, right? But they are profitable slightly. So AMD is the one so far that's, right, but potentially we take more setups here, of course. It's got my 1 minute warning on the stream here. All right, so I just sold some off here in the video. Got a 555 fill, looks like they gave me. All right, I'll still try to work on this. All right. So that blue line here, got long here, TP'd some here. All right, and still working on this, of course, naturally. Yep, has a potential for a swing. All right, actually, NVIDIA just popped a new high there. If you want to TP a little bit more here, I'll TP a little bit more on NVIDIA. with that positive COG on the daily. I got a 260 fill. All right, just TPing some NVIDIA there. Walmart, oh my God, Walmart, positive CRG. Google pulled back a little bit there. Did not pull the trigger on Meta. Microsoft did not give us that setup. But did not pull the trigger on Meta either. Meta might be trying here. And so AMD. All right, so I got the time on the stream just ended here because it is on a timer here. All right, do not get emotional with AMD. All right, make sure you have an objective level. Say, okay, if it goes here, I'm wrong. Prove wrong out. All right. There's something called the opening days range that I would go into a bit more when I'm trading with the team. All right, I want this to reclaim VWAP. Okay, above here. All right, if it doesn't, that's kind of red flag number one. All right, red flag number two is if we kind of snap a new low here. All right, I want to be careful with a liquidity sweep just right below here. That's why I have my stop loss, giving it a little bit of space in the event that markets want a liquidity sweep just off the open volume here. All right, but if we crack down here 176.05, we have to just cut AMD. Okay. If you're not holding for the week, but again, I'll probably talk a little bit more about that because we could pull back a little bit here, as mentioned, right? I think I put it on the right here. All right, so AMD could potentially pull back on us here, and I'm not holding that day trade that I just got in up here, so I just cut my loss, okay, and reanalyze, readjust risk in the event that we come down here, okay? So NVIDIA might be wanting to come down here potentially. All right, don't let that scare you out of this day trade. Have your objective level, okay? But just know, okay, if you take a small loss on AMD here this morning, no big deal. Okay, we might even have a better setup down here. Fair enough? Okay. All right. Fang is a little odd right now. So just be patient. Oops, the video. All right, NVIDIA just made a new high. I probably just missed a little bit more here, a new high tag here on NVIDIA. All right, these are probably just printing like 270s and things like that. So these are slightly up. All right, I'm gonna give it a little bit more time here to see if we can work off that. All right, make sure you TP some Tesla. All right. And yeah, Walmart, JP Morgan looks good too. JP Morgan just had a positive COG. Monthly look at daily looks good. Still inside day, a little bit of a doji bar yesterday. Still inside the mother bar here. But JP Morgan has a nice little positive COG here. If you want to work on that, all right? It's giving it to you there. All right, but that's my time, folks. Unfortunately, I'll see some of y'all in the room tomorrow morning. As always, God willing, if you're really new, and this was just a quick taste. Usually I'll trade with the group going forward throughout the whole day. I don't know, if you're interested and like what you saw, and if you didn't, cool, that's cool as well. But if you want to learn a little bit more about this and the process of becoming a potential trade phantom here, July 11th. July 11th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This Thursday, put your name, your email, great, just so we can get you signed up and you get the link sent to your email for a, just a live little free session there. All right, yes, we have classes and things like that. All right, of course, okay. How markets work from a professional trader, okay, we're all, myself, Mr. Blue, I'm Mr. Blue, Mr. Black, Mr. Green, we're all have professional trading experience, okay, and we kind of bring you what we've learned over the years and years and years, okay. So how professionals analyze the market, okay? Supply, demand, multi-directional, up, down, sideways, all three directions, okay? Options we can trade sideways, small accounts, all the way from small accounts, all the way to your long-term IRAs, all right? If you're trading for income, okay? Short-term day trading, or wealth, okay? Long-term wealth. So we kind of do it all here, okay? And not only stocks, but stocks, options, futures, Forex, okay? We even have, a small little crypto class, too, that's cooking up. So everything. everything for the most part. All right, and we always suggest, even if you want to be a day trader, okay, great, but still learn how to long-term invest as well. Okay, multiple styles, multiple avenues, multiple streams of income. Fair, cool. All right, folks, that's my time. That's Mr. Blue. Make sure you're trading patiently, making decisions appropriately based on the liquidity map. All right, and I'll see even some of y'all tonight for class, and then I'll see y'all tomorrow morning for the live trade room with Mr. Blue. Cool. All right, folks, trade safe. Blue out.